again, I want to welcome this month's Leadership Development Program participants. And I would like for you guys to stand up and tell us your name, how long you've been here, and what department you work in.
I am Veronica Andrews, and I have been with KUB for 13 years. I've mostly spent my time in the customer service department, but for the past year I've been cross-training in customer counselors.
Good afternoon, my name is Santiago Bolaños. I've been with KUB for about 3 years, and I work at the water plant as a civil engineer. So the department I work for is plant operations.
I am Sharon Dean, and I have been at KUB for almost 9 years now, and I am an engineer in water systems engineering.
I'm Kevin Keaton. I've been at KUB for 12 years. I work in KUB's regulatory compliance department as the lab supervisor.
I'm William Kitts. I've been at KUB for 27 years. I currently work in the transportation department.
And I'm Jocelyn McIntyre. I've been at KUB 11 years, and I work in safety and technical services.
Well, welcome, and I meet some of your classmates out just when I'm in the community, and they have really, really enjoyed this program, and I hope you all have too. And we really appreciate you guys coming today. We're going to move forward to roll call, and could you note, Mr. Coley, that all the commissioners are here?
So noted.
You should have received the minutes by mail or email. If there's not any changes, could I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do not have any official action today, so I'm going to move straight forward to the President's report, and I want to recognize Mentor.
Commissioners, you've heard an awful lot about our grid modernization initiative over the past several years through our budget discussions. Today I want to recognize Eddie Black to share with you the meter deployment part of that project. It's a very important part of the project. Eddie's the sponsor of the team, and he's going to give you the details of that.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Commissioners, we have talked about the concept of grid modernization and advanced meters for several years now. This is no longer a leading edge technology. It's not even a new technology. It's been around for a while. As a matter of fact, 65 million advanced meters have been deployed across the country. 43% of the homes in the United States right now have advanced meters, and those customers are enjoying the benefits of those. Today I'm going to be talking with you about our deployment plan and how our customers can benefit from this as well. Now you may be asking yourself, if this is not new technology, why is KUB just now doing it? Well, the simple fact of the matter is most of the deployments have been in single electric service utilities. Once you add gas and water meters into the mix, it gets a lot more complicated. And so what we wanted to do is make sure we've done all the research, explored all the possible alternative technologies, and made the right decision for KUB and for our customers. Most of that research took place between 2010 and 2014 in a pilot project we conducted in the UT and Fort Sanders area. We received $3.6 million in federal stimulus funds to conduct this. That was part of the $8.4 million total for the whole pilot project. Those stimulus funds actually covered the entire cost of our system-wide meter communications network that we'll be using for our deployment. During that process, we installed 6,000 advanced meters. This is electric, water, and gas total meters in the area, and got the proof of concept that we were looking for with this technology that we had selected. We saw some immediate benefits from that. We no longer had to roll trucks to turn the service on and to turn the service off when people moved out of the area. And in the Fort Sanders area, as you can imagine, there were a lot of people moving in and out each school year. We were also able to fully explore the concept of automated meter reading, not having to send a meter reader out to the apartments and condominiums and homes in that area. And so we feel very comfortable with that technology as well. The primary customer benefit of advanced meters comes to the fact that they will no longer have to call us when the power's out. The meter will send a signal to us if there's a loss of power. It'll go through our outage management system and be entered as an outage event. Now, in the case of a big storm, these outage alerts will be grouped together, and we'll be able to pinpoint the likely location of the source of the outage. And the great thing about this is that our people can respond quicker, and once we're done with the work, then the advanced meter sends us a restoration signal as well when it's turned back on. If we don't receive that restoration signal from the meter, we know that the customer has an individual issue. Let's say in this case, there might be a tree on a line that caused several customers to be out. Well, that individual customer might also have a tree or a branch on their service line that's keeping them from being in power. We'll know immediately, when all this main work is done, if there are still customers out, this will cause another outage event ticket to be produced, and we'll be able to respond immediately to that, whether the customer's there or not. We will know that. So, major advantage. Rolling this project out will basically mean moving from 6,000 advanced meters to 400,000 advanced meters. Big project. And this is part of the whole grid modernization effort that will take 10 years and cost $107 million. It's divided into two parts: the distribution substation automation piece, which I will not be talking about today, and the meter modernization piece, which we'll be spending most of our time on. Meter modernization, as you can see, will take about half of those dollars, about $54 million. It'll be a 4-year project. It's consistent, as Ms. Roach was saying, with our Century 2 infrastructure upgrade. We need to upgrade the meters as well as the wires and pipes and mains and this type of thing. And in addition to providing the customer benefit of automatic outage notification, it also puts a lot more information in the hands of our customers on a routine basis, so they'll be able to see how they're using electricity, gas, and water through the month. Since this is such a big effort, we're going to be using a contract meter installation vendor during that 4-year period of time. And the replacement plan, I've been at KUB 37 years, and I've joked with people that this is by far the most detailed project plan I've ever seen. We now know down to the individual customer address over the next 4 years where we're going to be replacing meters. And to give you an idea, this years 1 and 2, we'll be replacing 25% of the meters. We're ramping up slowly, deliberately on this. And then in years 3 and 4, we'll do the other 75% of the meters. The reason for that slow ramp up, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, we wanted to take advantage of the fact that of the high density areas where some customers are. We start in the middle of our service area where people are more likely to have gas, water, and electric meters. They tend to have more single meters out of the far ends of our distribution system. We also wanted to take advantage of the fact that we now have 100% coverage on our telecommunications network. The meters send a signal to this telecom network. So we have 100% coverage in the center city area. There's some known coverage enhancements that we want to deploy over the next couple of years that will also give the remote areas of our distribution system that same 100% coverage, but we need some time to get that done. So we'll be starting in close and moving further out. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, year 1, those yellow dots there represent 50,000 meters. So as you can see, we'll be starting mostly inside the city limits, and the way that they'll be deploying these has to do with the billing routes, and this is the most efficient way of doing it as far as our current meter reading routes and the use of our meter installation vendor. Year 2 is another 50,000 meters, and just kind of filling in the gaps in the same general area. Year 3, we ramp it up, and that's 150,000 meters in red that you see. We're starting to get a little outside the city limits into some of the county areas right there, but by that time, our telecom network will be at 100%, and that will be no problem at all. And then in year 4, that'll be the last 150,000. And there's so many more of those, or appears so many more, because so many of those are just single electric meters, especially out in the eastern end of our distribution system. This is a massive project, as you can imagine. We'll be utilizing an off-site facility as our deployment operations center over the next 4 years. It's a big warehouse and office space out on John Sevier Highway, actually. And when we say 50,000 meters a year, that sounds like an impressive number. But to me, even more impressively, trying to think of the logistics of it, 200 meters a day, every single workday, for the first 2 years and then tripling that to 600 meters a day, we need a lot of space for the new meter inventory, for staging the work to be done the next day. We'll be loading the trucks and having them ready to roll out the next day to specific locations, so they have to know exactly what kind of meters they need, this type of thing. And we'll also have to have space to bring back the old meters. There's going to be just that same number of meters we'll be bringing back each day. So it takes a lot of space to do and a lot of logistics. The contractor will have a warehouse manager there that will be in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly. And of course, we'll have people on site as well overseeing that.
Betty, can the old meters be recycled?
Some of the old brass meters and this type of thing, it can be recycled, but really not deploy them. The industry's really going to these advanced meters, and so many of those are not, and there's really not a good use for those anymore. We're going to hang on to them for a while in case there's any question about if the customer has any concerns at all about the new meter reads and this type of thing, but there'll be a formal disposal plan for those after that period of time.
Well, you just, the components within might be able to.
So every one of these installations involves an individual customer. So the customer communication plan has been a key element of our strategy since day one. You saw a slide very similar to this back last August during Jamie Davis's presentation. We tweaked it a little bit, but not a whole lot. Step one, we want to give advance notice to the customers. This is 30 days in advance of their meter being replaced. We want to contact them, let them know what we're doing, why, this type of thing. In 30 days, we'll give them an opportunity to, if they have any questions, for us to answer those, if they have any concerns, for us to address those. And let me make it clear, this is not going to be, there's not going to be a mailing going out to all of our customers at the same time. This is a just-in-time type of thing, just for those individuals who are 30 days out. So there will be letters going out every single day to these to the customers who are 30 days ahead. Step two, the meter replacement itself. Well, actually, I'll start with a knock on the door. The technician will see if anyone's at home, and if they are, he'll remind them why he's there, what he's going to be doing, and making sure they're ready for a very brief power interruption. If they're on the computer, we don't want them losing files and this type of thing, give an opportunity to shut down their computer. If they're not there, we'll be leaving a door hanger after we do the work, telling them that we have been there, we have replaced the meters, and also giving them a heads up in case they see clocks blinking and this type of thing because of the power interruption, or if they see cloudy water because of air that might have gotten into water lines during the water meter replacement process. Fine bubbles can diffuse throughout the water, and it clears up usually just a few minutes. No health effects at all, but we just don't want any customers to be surprised. Step three is a follow-up mailing to the customers. It will take place 30 to 60 days after the installation. We want them to have time to build up some history with their advanced meter, and we'll tell them at this time about how to access the customer portal, where they'll be able to see just exactly how their usage patterns are, and we'll be able to let them have access to that so they can start seeing that for themselves. So that's just one part of the communication plan, some of the key milestones that will be happening in the next few months. Obviously, letting you all know today is the first step. This afternoon, Ms. Rhodes will be sending out an email to all KUB employees announcing this initiative. In April, we'll be doing some training for some of the key employees in this. This includes the customer phone center folks who will be answering questions that customers might have about this. And then we expect to do the first 30-day in advance mailing to the customers in June in preparation for the July rollout of when the meters will actually start being replaced. And then, of course, 30 to 60 days later, that follow-up mailing to the customers. Now, I've talked about this customer portal, and this is a screenshot of the kind of things that the customers will have access to. They'll be able to break down their usage patterns either by the day, the week, or the month. This is a 30-day history right here of electric consumption. They'll be able to obviously choose whether they want electric, water, or gas consumption. And we'll also have the ability to add weather overlays to that. This blue line that you see right here shows the temperature fluctuation. This is the average temperature during the day. And so the customer can see for themselves the usage patterns. As the temperature drops, the average temperature was a little over 20 degrees, their consumption increased, even though they might be keeping their thermostat on the same setting. You know, it's the outdoor temperature that really determines how much consumption you have. Conversely, as the temperature rises, the consumption tends to drop. In most cases, obviously there's exceptions, you know, depending on what the individual usage patterns are. But the customers will be able to see this for themselves. When we tell the customers and show them how they can access this customer portal, they'll also have access to a video that we've prepared that goes into a lot of detail about how they can do this process. It's a very simple process, but it'll talk them through that, how to access it, how to best use it. And we've got that video queued up, and we'd like to play it for you right now. Let me remind you, though, that by the time this rolls out in late summer, we'll have our new website. John Williams will be talking about our new website here in just a few moments. But what you'll see on this video is our current website. So it'll look a little different, but the portal itself will not be.
Equipping homes and businesses with advanced meters will make metering faster and more accurate, and demystify your utility consumption while giving you tools to help you take charge of your usage and keep your utility bills lower. With your new advanced meter comes access to the customer portal, where you can see your hourly consumption of each KUB service you have: electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater, along with your estimated cost per hour for each of those services. You can also see the totals broken down daily, weekly, and monthly. To start taking advantage of this information, you must first set up an account. Using the latest version of your preferred web browser, navigate to www.kub.org. If you are a current user, log in. If you are a new user, you'll need to create a new user profile. Whether you are a new or returning user, be sure to check that your account information is correct, including telephone number and mailing address. Navigate to the Advanced Meter portal. Here, you can find consumption data for your services as far back as you have had an advanced meter. You can view your consumption broken down by utility and by time frame. Weather data is also available to help you track your changing consumption along with the changing seasons. Use this information to review your habits and see how they influence your consumption. Small changes you make every day can mean savings on your utility bills. This information is for planning purposes only and won't translate directly to your monthly bill. It's meant to give you a way to see where your money is going and identify areas where you can save, giving you more control when it comes to your bills. For more information, call 524-2911 or visit KUB.org today.
Stephanie says it's so much better than I'd be able to. Just to recap, we put a lot of research and effort into rolling out this grid modernization concept and the meter modernization part of it. It will give the customers immediate benefits. They'll have the automatic outage notification as soon as the meter is installed, which will lead to quicker service restoration in the event of a power outage. But as you can see, it will also give them access to real-time information about their usage. This will help them to manage their costs better. Also good for the environment. The less electricity and gas is used and water, the better for the environment. As far as KUB goes, it will help us resolve meter access issues by the automated meter reading feature that we'll have, instead of having to go out each month and try to access meters that might be behind locked fences or with dogs out and this type of thing. And just overall help us manage our ongoing costs. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
How are you going to handle those installations where you've got a gas meter that is going to require you to go into an individual's house?
The only time that should happen is when we have to, well, let me back up. There are older gas meters out there and there are newer gas meters. I think one of our commissioners is experiencing that right now. And so what will typically happen is if they have one of the older gas meters, we will have to put a newer gas meter there and also can go into the home and do the read lights and that type of thing. That should be a fairly rare occurrence. We're going ahead of this program though and trying to find all the older gas meters so that we can get those replaced. And in most cases, once that newer gas meter is in place, it'll just mean adding a communication device to the gas meter to make it an advanced meter, and we won't have to access the customer's home at all. We can do that from the outside without interrupting the gas supply.
So do we have the information required to be able to identify that so that we can make arrangements in advance when we're, I'm just thinking about how it's going to impact the schedule. If you're trying to do so many per day and you're not able to identify those, that's really going to put a
It is.
on the schedule.
Our contractor is very experienced in doing this type of thing. They've done several of these installations across the country. They're very familiar with this issue, and we'll have plans in place to work that out. But but as a separate initiative, we are going to try to identify all those in advance of this so that we won't have to worry about that.
I have a question about the technology. Just in my business, that's why I'm asking the question. Our smart technology gets smarter, and we have to continue to upgrade. I mean, we upgrade it yearly at a minimum. How is this technology good and stable for a long, long time, or is it constantly being upgraded through a subscription? Did you purchase the software? How does that work over time?
We work with a company called Census, and they're somewhat unique in that they have their own licensed radio frequency, and everything's being done on a wireless basis. But to answer your question, yet the information or the technology is stable at this time. Back in the early days of advanced meters, it was moving very rapidly. There were new improvements being added all the time, and so that's another reason for holding back and not being on the very bleeding edge. It has stabilized right now. We do believe that it will be stable for some time to come, based on what they're telling us and the history that they've had. One example of how these meters have advanced. When, as I said earlier, when the power's cut off, it sends us an alarm. Well, the question may be, if it doesn't have power, how can it send you an alarm? They have capacitors built into the boards that sends out some last gasp kind of messages to us. And so the early meters didn't have that. You know, when they were out, they were just out. And so now that we have waited, this kind of improvement has come into being, and we're able to take advantage of it.
Do they work with you to add, you know, something where you could add something custom to the KUB system, the KUB metering system that maybe somebody else doesn't need? Do you have the ability to kind of work with them?
We're hoping we don't have to customize it, because every time you customize, then you have to work that customization into future upgrades. We're able to pretty much take the things off the shelf right now on this. While most of the installations have been single electric service, there have been other multi-service utilities that have put these things in, and so we're able to take advantage of that as well.
Eddie, I have a question. I know that they were using laptops, computers, things of that nature just to monitor their system. For the folks that probably not computer savvy, that have a computer to monitor their system, how are we prepared to deal with those folks too? You know, you showed a slide that you can go and see everything you can use for capacity.
Yeah, they'll have to have some way to get onto the web for them to be able to get that portal. It's accessible through the KUB web, so they would have to either go to the library and use the computer there. They would have to have some kind of web access to be able to do that.
I was wondering, will we have folks as it relates to like customer service that want to call in and they'll be able to deal with them like that, share with them, okay, this
exactly.
is what.
That's the reason for the training. That's why we're doing those internal announcements as well, so that all of our employees will know what's coming and what they need to do to prepare for that. Okay.
Question on security in the communication system, and I know it's an established communication system, but I know a lot of customers have questions about is the communication network secure? cybersecurity is on the minds of everybody
Yeah.
and how to address those,
Sure.
those concerns.
That was one of the huge advantages of this being a DOE pilot project, because DOE would send their experts in and make sure that we had those cybersecurity issues dealt with. They would actually audit us, monitor that, and we passed that with flying colors. But we were also able to take advantage of their insights and knowledge and incorporate that into the whole deployment.
And I want to remind the commissioners that were not on here, we looked at this like 10 years ago maybe, and all the questions that you all had, we did, and we kind of wanted to wait until to see what the market did. And at this point, KUB brought it to us and say they think that this is the time. So we did look at this years and years ago, and all the questions that you all had, I think they got the kinks out, and it's ready to go now. Anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Take my kids from you. Commissioners, we told you last July that we were going to start working on a strategic project related to customer engagement. And we shared with you then that we had identified a lot of opportunities for us to do a better job of communicating with our customers, hearing from our customers, anticipating their needs. So we created a team, and today we're going to have a two-part presentation. First is going to be Leslie Hartzell, who's way down there on the end. She was the project manager of this project, and John Williams was the project sponsor. So they're going to share the presentation. And I will tell you that this is the first presentation of many to come, most likely. We think this is a good initiative and great opportunities to do a better job with communicating with our customers. Leslie.
Thank you, Ms. Roach, and good afternoon, Commissioner. As with everything we do, we always start with the KUB blueprint. And at the top in our vision statement, we talk about why we exist. And at KUB, we exist to serve our customers. And in order for us to do that, we got to continually focus on enhancing our customer experience and also continue to enhance the customer satisfaction in order to be successful and effective in meeting our customer needs. Expanding further down within the blueprint, you can see we talk about either customer service, improving the customer experience, or improving the value of the services that we provide in a variety of different boxes here on the blueprint. And why this is important, or why we feel it's important, is because KUB customers don't get to pick their utility service provider, They don't have a choice. And so it's important for us to continually look to address and enhance the needs of our customers, to provide the services that they expect of us. We want to make sure that while we're doing that we're being good stewards of the communities that we represent and be good stewards of the resources. But we also want to make sure that we're providing professional, timely, flexible, and simple interactions or experiences so that we don't frustrate our customers. And you'll hear more about this throughout the process. As Mintha mentioned, the customer engagement and communication strategic team was formed back in July. And as you can see, we have a diverse group of employees that represented or participated to serve on that team. And primarily we felt that it was important to have a diverse group because communications and customer service goes well beyond just the communications department or the call center. And so it spreads across the entire organization. So we felt like it was important that we have a diverse group of people representing and serving on that team so that we got different perspectives. Our team was tasked with developing a customer engagement plan that provided effective, meaningful, two-way communication between KUB and its customers. We were also tasked with looking at what we already had in place and build on those existing strategies, and also look for more flexible options such as online options for our customers and providing more mobile opportunities as well to meet our customers' needs. Speaking of customers' expectations and the way things have changed, when we started back in 1939, for more than 44 years, if customers wanted to do business with us, they had to go into our main office. We mailed out bills, but if customers wanted to have more personal transactions or had questions, they had to come in to our main office, or they could mail those statements in, but if they wanted to start or stop service, they had to go into the main branch to do that. Over time, we added 24 lines to address the growing needs of our customer calls back in 1973, and then also to make ourselves more accessible to our customers. We opened our first branch in Halls in 1983. As you can see, customer communications, customer engagement, customer enhancements continue to grow within our organization. In the early 90s, I want to point out that we established our first call center. We went from 24 phone lines to 48 phone lines to address the needs of our customers. Whereas before, if a customer wanted to start and stop service, they had to go into that main office. Now we provided the service where they could do it on the phone. We also established the USAs, or our utility service advisors, and our key account folks. And this was to meet the needs of those customers going out into the field to address those needs. We launched our first KUB website in 1998, and we were just trying to keep up with the times. A lot of organizations or a lot of companies were rolling out websites. And I want to point out here, when we rolled it out, it was informational. Websites then wasn't transactional based, it was just providing information to our customers. Continuing on, we implemented our IVR system, and this was primarily to address those high volume calls during our storm restoration efforts. We also went away from the old mainframe system to the new CIS system, and implemented our outage management system as well. All while continuing to expand more service options for the website as well. Customers were beginning to be able to do transactions, start and stop service on the website, as well as they could do some of those options through our IVR system as well. More recently, we rolled out our estimated restoration times, so we can give customers more information during storm events about the progress of our storms. Also, their estimated excuse me, that is a tongue twister for me, sorry. Estimated restoration times as well. When, back in 2011, 2012, when we had our major storms, we increased our usage of social media. This was big for us because when we initially rolled out our social media, it was more just putting out information to our customers, but it wasn't two-way feedback for our customers. During storms, utilizing social media allowed us not only to give customers information about the progress of our restoration efforts, but it also allowed us to tell our story. We were able to put photos out there to show the magnitude of the storm. And it also allowed us to, when we're not in storm mode, give customers information about energy conservation tips, traffic advisories, all those kind of things, just to keep them, let them know and keep them up to speed on what was going on with our system. We launched a new mobile website. You know, more recently, most people don't have home phones anymore. They've moved away from that. They've gone to either mobile phones or utilizing their tablets. So we launched our mobile website, and then we continue to look at ways of expanding and increasing and updating our technology efforts as well. So, in order to build on these enhancements, we had to develop a strategic framework plan. And within that plan, we identified more than 150 interactions or customer touch points. But I also want to point out, those included the board interactions that you all do when you're out and either on your jobs or out in the community interacting with our customers as well. So that is a lot of touch points, and I'm sure we probably missed some, and some of them are reflected over here. Once we start identifying those touch points, we had to put them into buckets or channels. So we prioritize them, whether they were web-based, whether they were the phone center, whether it was communication, print material, etc. And so we try to prioritize those. By doing that, we wanted to focus, we realized we needed to focus on the high volume. And so we focused and narrowed down our efforts to focus on high volume residential processes. And so we figured those were the ones that touched the most customers. As you can see, in the big blue bubbles, these were the 4 processes that had the major transactions that our customers interacted with us primarily on a daily basis. Whether it was starting or stopping service, reporting an outage, or paying a bill. And so we wanted to focus in on enhancing those processes so that we could ensure that those processes are simple and easy for our customers since they had the highest volume. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to John Williams, who's going to drill down a little more into the processes and further expand upon our project.
Thank you, Leslie. Good afternoon, Commissioners. As we began looking at each of those blue circles there, those 4 high-volume residential transactions, we began engaging with a lot of the customer service areas and those folks that were closest to that, and they were very instrumental in helping us to understand our processes and how we interact with our customers and understand the IT systems behind that and how it all works. They were able to give us a really good view inside our organization out, and we're very thankful for their support in that process. But what our team realized as we were going through that exercise is we needed a better perspective of the outside view into our organization, what our customers saw in those interactions and work with KUB, and also how we stacked up against some of the better practices out there, not only within the utility industry, but customer service interactions as a whole. So we engaged a consultant, West Monroe Partners, who specializes in utility business practices, among other things, and asked him to do a diagnostic assessment. Tell us how we are from the outside in. And take a look at that. So they helped us at first develop 2 customer personas, or 2 different customer vantage points that would help us to walk through each of these 4 residential transactions. Tom was busy, on the go, tech savvy, didn't really want to spend a lot of time dealing with his utility provider. Priscilla, single mom, hardworking, at times had trouble paying her bills, making ends meet, and required some help from KUB from time to time. So we took those 2 different vantage points and walked through each of those scenarios, paying a bill, stopping service, and reporting an outage through each of those points. We also took each of them through each of the different channels in which you could transact with KUB. So for example, if you're paying a bill, we would take that transaction through our IVR or that automated messaging on the front end of our phone center. Also took that through talking with a call center representative through our website, also in a branch office as well. In the case of a payment option, we would also take a look through our bill matrix system, which is that third-party vendor that processes all of our credit card transactions. And since that is a handoff to that third-party vendor and coming back, we want to make sure we understood how that transaction flow worked from a customer perspective. Along the way, West Monroe also interviewed a lot of people that were involved in the process. Not only the customer service folks that were directly facing our customers, but also folks in system operations, for example, on the outage side of things, and make sure they understood how the processes work. They had a lot of observations. They spent time in our call center looking at how everybody would work, how the systems were interacting with each other, how those back-end systems supported the work of our call center representatives. And then they looked at all of our processes that fed into that to give us a really holistic view. The other thing that they did, which may have been the most interesting piece of all of this, is they did what's called a customer effort index. And what that was really digging into each of those transactions and determining the level of effort that a customer has to exert to complete whatever transaction that they're wanting to complete with KUB. And that was very diagnostic, it was very objective, and it helped us to really understand, again, that level of effort and the time it took for the customers to present that. They stacked all that up in part and in whole with the best practices out there, and also from that customer perspective as well, making sure we understood all those puts and takes and helped us to understand where we stacked up and how we did. Their key findings on the front end, I'll start also with the blueprint. When we look at our vision as a whole and our intent to improve that customer experience, what they found from a high level was the key elements of that vision and that strategy exist throughout the organization. And what they told us that our culture is one of customer service, and they saw that mostly through our people. Our people throughout all the exercises, through all the diagnostic portions, performed very, very well, and they were very impressed with them. And I guess is another example of how our employees continue to be our greatest asset. They also looked at our technology and felt like the investments that we've made over time in our technology systems put us in a position to be able to support those self-service transactions. We obviously have a lot of those today through the IVR or that front-end menu or through our website. And certainly that volume is increasing. Our customers are wanting more speed and ease and self-service. And we felt like that their feedback to us was positive in that regard. We have a long history of trying to communicate with our customers in advance of issues affecting them, whether that be vegetation management, or whether that was the traffic advisories or storm restoration efforts that Leslie mentioned. They noted that and viewed that as a strong practice and a best practice that we should continue moving forward, because that does improve customer satisfaction in knowing things beforehand. No one wants surprises, and so certainly communicating in advance is the right thing to do. In whole, they felt our processes tend to focus on the customer, but really where the nugget of their feedback to us really came down to that transactional level detail, and they felt that the transactions from the customer perspective really should be simpler. So as we went through there, as a team, and I know in particular for me, there was really an aha moment in this project as we were walking through those customer journeys, walking in the shoes of Tom and Priscilla, trying to walk through our own processes and transactions and understand this from the customer perspective. We really began to understand, and I guess it's obvious now looking back just from our own customer perspectives and our own lives, that again, it's that level of effort that you have to exert in a process, how much time it takes to get through that transaction. That really drives customer satisfaction. Certainly professionalism matters. The time in which it takes is exceptionally important. You want to have to be flexible, but a customer does not want to feel frustrated by the time expense or having to spend too much effort to get through a particular resolution that they're seeking. So that was really key. And as we went through there, West Monroe gave us some key recommendations. Our team looked at those against everything. And again, this is all in reference to those key 4 residential transactions, but it really permeates much beyond that. First thing we thought was that all the information that is out there needs to be easy to find. I'm not sure about you, but for me, if I have an answer to a question, oftentimes I find myself Googling it or asking Siri. And so information availability is just so much easier than it used to be. We need to make sure we present that in a similar way to our customers. So if they're calling through our IVR, our phone center, going to a payment center location, or working through our website, finding information easily is very, very important. We need to make sure that we can get them to the right place fast. Once they're there, we also need to make sure that transaction can take place and is designed in a one-stop resolution to the greatest degree possible. There are certainly limitations. I mentioned one earlier with our third-party credit card company, is that there has to be a handoff there back out to them and back to us. And we can work to try to streamline that, simplify that, make that as invisible to the customer as possible. But ultimately, we like to make a one-stop resolution so that customer feels like we're taking care of their needs, give them more of that personalized level of service that folks are going to expect. When we can't provide a super quick resolution, and even when we can, we need to make sure we set the transaction and expectations early. So if a customer, for example, calls to start service and a deposit's required, making sure they know all the steps in that process and what's expected and how all that works on the front end will help them understand what's expected through that process. At the same time, if there's a transaction such as stopping service, we can handle over the phone very quickly. We can also let them know that we can take care of that for you in just a few moments. Let's get started. And make sure that process is there so they understand and can be put at ease. Setting expectations was very, very important, we found, through this project. The other thing they mentioned was evaluating our payment centers. As Leslie mentioned, in 1983, we opened the first one in Halls, and it was much expanded. The purpose was being able to take the Gay Street location and multiply. So we had start and stop service offerings and all those sort of things. And obviously that was very effective. As we began to move those start and stop service requests through the phone center, through the IVR, and through the website, then that process began to reduce a lot of the traffic in our branch locations. And really, the majority of the traffic there now is truly for payments. At the same time, West Monroe wanted to make sure that we understood that from an industry perspective, there are different approaches to that. Some locations are offering more complete services there, and we don't know what the answer is. That wasn't part of the scope of the project, but we did recognize that we don't want to leave that uncovered, and so we want to make sure we're going to look into that a little further and ensure that we are offering the services that customers expect when they do reach one of our payment centers. If nothing changes, at a minimum, we can certainly focus on making those actual payment transactions as simple as possible once they arrive. One of the key things that we knew going in as part of the mission of the team, but really came out through the project as well, is making sure that we continue to leverage technology to meet our customers' needs. Our customers are increasingly on the go and increasingly have access to technology in their hands, and so we want to make sure we're leveraging that appropriately. As I mentioned, the investments we've made in technology certainly put us in a good position to take advantage of that. Most recently, our IVR, again, that front-end call menu, system was updated back in the fall. It gave us a lot more flexibility in how we manage that, improve the workflows and the overall efficiency of how that system works. We're also, as Leslie mentioned, continuing to leverage social media. We want to continue to use that more. There's more and more customers who prefer to interact and be informed of information through that particular channel. As Eddie alluded to, our grid modernization efforts are certainly going to provide customers an enhanced amount of information that they've had before, and that's going to be key in again, providing an improved customer experience, having access to that information that they choose to see. And as Eddie mentioned, leading up to this, we wanted to make sure that we focus on improving and through an enhanced website as we move forward. As you see here and also saw in the screenshots and in the video, our current website was launched in 2008. There's a lot of things that have been updated and enhanced through that process, but that core design has held true since that time. We did update a mobile website in 2013 once we saw mobile traffic increasing. And we knew more and more customers were coming to our website from a tablet or a smartphone, and so we understood that seeing the full complexity of our website and that small screen was going to be difficult, and we saw that through some of the website analytics. So we created a scaled down version of that mobile site that allowed some of those very common residential transactions we talked about, viewing and paying a bill, reporting an outage or checking on an outage, or checking out our payment locations. And that was very effective, and it's continued to be effective to the point where about 40% of all the website users coming from our customers today are coming from a smartphone or a tablet. And when you see a storm situation happen, for example, our last ice storm, that jumped up to about half. So certainly there's a significant number of people coming to us in that platform. So when we're looking at a customer engagement initiative, looking at ways we can make information more easy to find, streamline the transactions, accommodate a lot of the grid modernization improvements, and certainly look at the emerging growth of smartphone use and tablet use in the community. We want to make sure that we create a website that would accommodate that and really take advantage of that. What we looked at doing is we looked at building a responsive site to enhance that. What that responsive site simply means is that it doesn't matter what device you come on. It's going to automatically resize, reshape, reconfigure, reorganize all the content and present it in a way that optimizes that resolution or that real estate on whatever screen you have. So whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or a desktop, you get the exact same functionality. There's nothing that you lose if you choose a mobile device, which we thought was very important. We also looked at whether or not, a lot of companies offer apps. And this is actually better than an app because you don't lose any functionality. Typically an app also condenses that functionality. You can do most things, but not everything. With this, you actually replicate the exact same full functionality regardless of what device you're on. So as we're looking at that, we wanted to accomplish some of the key recommendations that came out of this. So making information easy to find. So what we've tried to incorporate this, and this is still very much early in design, but this is some of the first work that we've seen so far, is making sure we use customer-centric language. Essentially things that customers will easily identify with to point them in the right direction. So in other words, what can we help you do? Just common language that we can point them to some of the most common transactions. We tried to streamline the design so you won't see a lot of content necessarily on the front side of this site because from our web analytics over time, we know why our customers are coming here. It's mainly to do a few certain activities, and we try to present those in a very clean and simple way for our customers through that carousel, but also in the login. In the login side of things, there's so much more that we're going to be able to offer to a logged-in customer moving forward. The grid modernization, access to the meter portal, being able to see information about your bill or be able to pay your bill, report outages, see your estimated restoration time. A lot of that has to happen once they know who you are, once you authenticate yourself. We want to make sure that we present that very clearly to give them the opportunity to log in so they can see that deeper experience. We can also better customize that experience once they're logged in. A guest user, for example, might be wanting to apply for a job or might be wanting to see how to do business with KUB or looking at ways to conserve energy. But once someone logs in, we pretty much know there's a few transactions that are coming to us for pay a bill, report an outage, and we can even do a better job of presenting that information to them. Much like you see in this screenshot here, we can identify who you are and know exactly some things that you might be looking for. The other thing we know is from our history is paying a bill on our website is by far the single most frequent transaction that a customer will have on our website. So we want to make sure that that is on every page, on every screen at the top, and we've colored it, at least for the time being, in orange. The other transaction that always rises to the top is during a storm event. Reporting an outage or checking on an outage becomes very, very important. We want to make sure those two things are very clear and intuitive and easy to find at all times for our customers. So regardless of what device or what page you're on, those two buttons always remain at the top. Just to kind of walk through one of the scenarios we have, at least mostly designed, is paying a bill. And so I want to walk you through an example of how we might do that. As you can see, you can click the pay bill button at the top. You can check it from the carousel here or on a mobile device, and obviously it's on there as well. So once that button is clicked, the customer will need to log in if they haven't already. Again, we're simplifying that process as well. And then they're going to be presented some very clear and simple payment options. One thing we've tried to do as well, again, to remove some steps, is instead of having to go view a bill to see what amount is due, we're just going to go ahead and present it on that screen. So the amount that's due and the date that it's due automatically are going to be there, so the customer doesn't have to go view their bill. They certainly can, and that's an option to view their bill. They can also look at a billing history if they want to, so they have the same options. We're going to try to remove some of the steps and make it clear for them. There's really 4 clear payment options there. 2 are through bank, either automatic payments or a one-time payment, pay with a credit card, or pay at a KB location. So we'll walk through some of those, but just a good example of how we can leverage some of the technology. If someone is to select pay in person, it's going to give them a map of those locations and a listing. If you're on a smart device and allow us to share your location, then we can actually show you the ones closest to you and even allow you to use the native applications on your phone to navigate there if you so choose. Again, just trying to make things easy. For this exercise, let's assume they're going to pay through a one-time bank draft. We try to set this up to where the payment itself is as intuitive as possible. So if you think about it, it's like completing a check online in electronic fashion. We'll go ahead and pre-populate the date in which the bill is due and the amount that's due. Both of those will be editable, but again, trying to simplify what the customer has to do. So really all that has to be done at that point in time is key in the routing number, the account number as it's presented on the check. You don't have to worry about finding a key or trying to figure out which number is which. Once that routing number is put in there, we'll automatically populate your bank as a confirmation. Hit the Pay Now button, then we'll give a confirmation that the payment's been submitted. For customers who are also share with us their email address, we'll be able to then also send an email notification as well, confirming that transaction, so there's no mystery about whether anything went through like it was supposed to. No reason to have to print it if they don't want to. They'll have that electronic record of exactly what occurred. While they're there, we'll also give them some options if they want to do other things such as enroll in an auto pay or automatic payment option, or look at other billing options as well. They'll have that there if they want to do that, or they can just go on with their day.
John, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we store their routing number and all that so that if you don't have your checkbook with you, just
Yes, ma'am.
get it?
Customers will have that option. It's their choice, but if they want us to store that, then it will be stored for them. So website enhancements are simply one way in which we're trying to simplify customer transactions. That's one of those channels. We looked at IVR, payment center, call center, or other channels, but I hope the web example provides a little bit of an example of how we're trying to refine and improve that customer experience. We hope to have the enhanced website rolled out in late summer. We'll obviously need to promote website registration. Getting logged in customers is really key to unlocking a lot of information that we think will improve their experience with us, including expanding the notifications and the confirmations. As Eddie mentioned, with our advanced meters, they will notify us when there's an outage and when they're restored. We can provide that same functionality via text message to our customers if they so choose. And again, another feature that we can provide to let them know whether they're at home or at work or other places, they'll know what's going on with the utility service, which we think can be helpful and reassuring to our customers. Enhancing our communication plan, continuing to leverage that history of communicating in advance with our customers is critical. Expanding social media is important as well. Again, more and more customers are interacting in that way. And this is more than just simply tweeting more, but actually engaging in that platform, making sure that we are providing that meaningful two-way communication with our customers. And then last piece is really continuing to refine the customer satisfaction measures. We have a lot more analytics behind all of our systems now, IVR, web, other places where we can see how those customer transactions are occurring. Are they getting to the right place? How long is it taking them to complete those transactions? Are they having to abandon or delay at certain places? So we can use that analytics to help us to get better. We also want to seek out more real-time customer feedback through post-transaction surveys or other mechanisms, obviously voluntary, that will allow us to get that customer feedback at that transaction level to make sure that we're providing them the simplest, most intuitive, easiest way to do business with KUB. Our blueprint has a lot of action words in it. Improving the customer experience is certainly one of those. As Leslie went through, long history of trying to continue to stay ahead of and keep up with the customer expectations that are constantly evolving and certainly evolving today at a very rapid rate. And we want to make sure that we continue to do that. We think this project will help us in taking a good step forward in that regard, but we're going to have to continue to work hard to meet our customer needs and really work on trying to make their interactions with KUB as simple as possible. So with that, thank you very much. Be glad to answer your questions.
Just an observation, two actually. One, in my business, one of the primary sources of customer dissatisfaction is the handoff to third party